Now let's talk about hoarseness. What is hoarseness? If I talk like this, what's going on now? What are the vocal cords doing? Breathy, right? Yes. But there's something else going on also, and that is, I have the urge to be heard. If you also have the urge, the desire, the need to be heard, the tendency is that we start pushing. We try desperately to be louder, but it's not quite working, so therefore I try even more, and I add more and more pressure, and after a while, maybe I just lose my voice. Has that ever happened to you? If that has happened to you, that's not good. You know that. And it's not fun. And often we go to a doctor and then you give you some drugs and tell you to rest 10 days. But that may not be the solution. That often is not the solution, because what's going on is that you pushed the vocal cords apart, so they are now open. Just air coming through, right? But now there's so much tension because we're adding that force, we're adding that push, we're trying to be heard. The cords won't come together, so we're literally blowing the cords apart, and singers use that term, you know, I blew out my voice. You've heard that. Maybe you've used that term, and it's actually kind of sort of true, because it's so much air and it forces them apart, and then become locked in a cramped situation. So I've had many clients who come to me with an acute hoarseness, who might have been told or believe, or they've come to believe that they need to rest for 10 days, and that's not helpful. What we need to do is to do exercises to release the muscle tension so that it stimulates healing, so we get the vocal cords vibrating again, and we can often do it sometimes within half an hour. Release the tension, do these exercises, get the cords to vibrate, and wow, we have a vibrating voice again. That's powerful knowledge. So, the benefit of a trained voice is not only to know what to do on a bad day if that happens, but it is, of course, to prevent it. We need to be able to recognize what's going on before that ever happens. If you have a strong, healthy voice and that you're aware of what's going on with your voice, you're never going to lose your voice. You'll know what to do before it happens, right? The day before, the week, you start feeling things. So there are, of course, a lot of underlying things going on, right? We might have allergies. We might get sick. And that's understandable. And I'm very much, of course, about the health aspects of the body, because it affects the voice dramatically. And I really encourage you to take advantage of the material inside of the Singing Zone members area. Use the forum to ask questions also, but we have had many discussions about this. And there's some articles there and audio interviews and so forth. Take advantage of this stuff. So we recognize that, of course, there are lots of underlying factors. Even so, with a strong voice, you'll be less sensitive. It won't be so affected. So if you have a weak voice, people who have very soft-spoken, weak voices, who are borderline breathy, as soon as they get a little bit of a cold or something, the voice goes out. With a strong, resonating voice, and with our awareness of how to make it vibrate, I should say, then a little bit of a cold is not necessarily the end of the world. You should still be able to sing, but you also become aware of when it's time to be quiet, right? When you really need that break, or when you need to exercise to get things going. So, if I have a hoarse voice, a breathy voice, I want to avoid trying to be heard. It's better than I should say this. If it's really, really breathy, it's better to be quiet and do exercises rather than engage in communication, right? And a lot of people get into problems by how they speak rather than how they sing. You have a concert and then you're speaking in a loud environment and you're trying to be heard all the time, right? That's not good. But since we have this urge then to be heard, if we have that, so I'm talking like this now and I have this kind of a hoarseness. This is not an even, comfortable, breathy sound, right? It's a forced, it's a pressured sound, a lot of resistance, a lot of tension. I need to back off. And that's when we do really light stuff. If it is super breathy, super hoarse, then this might happen. There's no sound. So frustrating. And we don't want to get caught up in that frustration that makes us... On the contrary, we accept that that's the case. So we do a minute of that. We inhale. Exhale. Might not be a whole lot of vibration there. We move around. We do other things, and you're going to incorporate other things that you're going to learn in the future, of course, right, through this program. But based on what we've learned so far, do this, right? Don't have to do it for half an hour. You don't want to practice for a long time. Just a minute here and there. Then rest. Be quiet. Do a little bit of that. Feel that sense of release so we're not holding back and being careful and being scared. That's not going to make it happen. Move around. So these things that we've been doing are so incredibly important for the health of the voice, to get a voice back, if you will, or to prevent hoarseness, to get those cords vibrating without a lot of air pressure, without any kind of pressure. And that's why this idea of breath control can be so devastating, because if we think we're going to do breathing exercises, no, that in that situation would probably create more pressure. Do all these kind of things, right? Yes? So that's what hoarseness is. It's a breathy sound, and it has pressure behind it. Creates resistance, makes these vocal cords open in sort of a cramped position. So we want to release the surrounding muscles by doing these things, the tongue, all that kind of stuff. Even if the cords don't connect beautifully in the beginning, like I said, give it some time, allow those other muscles to start kicking back, vocal cords start coming together again, right? And incorporate that with, of course, the health aspects that you have inside of the Singing Zone members area. All right? So that's a little bit about hoarseness.